Olivia the Pig is a book series created by theater designer and costume artist Ian Falconer, debuting in the year 2000. Olivia was a children's book series that focused on minimalistic but iconic illustrations, telling very simple stories. The book sold really well over the years, and the Olivia character became very recognizable to both kids and parents alike. The book's popularity and the desire from the author Ian Falconer to spread the specific influence the books had to a wider audience and to allow more kids to experience that charm led to a partnership with Brown Bag Films to create a CG animated adaptation of the book series, which would later become a full series on Nickelodeon sub-network Nick Jr., also known as Noggin at the time. Hi, you can call me Crystal. Today I'm going to be talking about Olivia the Pig, and more specifically about its characters and its writing. Throughout some of my rewatch of the series, I started to notice some of the individual quirks of the characters. To put it simply, Olivia and the cast of characters in the show are just before the age of 7, or around there. We don't have exact numbers aside from Olivia herself, who is known to be 6 3/4 years old. But all of them seem to extinguish traits that are pretty common for their age. It seemed to show us even more about these characters than what can just be seen on screen. There's a lot of analysis and interpretations that I ended up finding, and my interest in psychology, particularly in children, it made me really start to appreciate the detail, and I felt like almost no one would notice this, so I wanted to highlight it. So that's what this video is all about the psychology of the characters in Olivia. This is mostly an overview video. It's more about the characters themselves than the actual show itself, as I will be talking about the show in depth in a future video. Although that future video will be a long way away, think of this as a very easy entry-level video that can help get you acquainted with the show, as well as allow you to learn a lot of interesting things about it. Okay, so from here on out, we're going to be going character by character and talking about some individual examples of their individual psychology. I'm not going to bore you guys with the terms and specifics and the history and whatnot, because that's not what I'm here to do. Originally it was, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for when it comes down to analyzing this show. We are talking about the individual personality traits of these characters, and let's just start with the most common personality trait that is found in basically every character in this show in terms of the kids. A common trait known as egocentrism, which is specifically a narrow mindset that most kids Olivia's age do end up having due to their slowly developing moral complexes. The term itself refers to kids having their own view of themselves and thinking that everyone revolves around that specific complex. Like, for example, if they are sad in this moment, that means that everyone is sad. Everyone must feel and act the same as them, and they themselves are the moral hierarchy of every other person in this world. This develops specifically in what is known as Jean Piaget's second proportional stage, which is one of 4 developmental stages that humans go through, specifically from the ages of 2 to 7. Olivia and all the characters in this show that we'll be examining in today's video are at the very edge of this stage. It's just about to grow out of it, meaning that we can start to see some points here and there to where they do start to grow out of it, but they are very clearly still inhabiting that stage, and very clearly still thinking that way, especially in the case of Olivia. There are 3 very easy examples for this. One is Olivia's constant rules of life, because is her feeling confident enough to think these are exact rules of life, especially considering how specific a lot of them are. Yeah, it's pretty egocentric. Second is her calling her little brother Ian a little bother, which we'll get to in a second. Again, and finally, the immense amount of fantasy sequences throughout the show. Now, these are just unique little pieces of animation, mostly used to drive up the runtime and over-exaggerate some of Olivia's initial thinking, also allowing us to peer into her mind for at least 20 or so seconds. The majority of these fantasy sequences are mostly just about Olivia, and even if there are other characters involved, it's about her point of view of them and how she sees them. One key example being in the episode Ian the Alien, where she sees her brother Ian as an alien due to his unique traits, we'll get to that later, and she ends up acting like he is an alien, with the fantasy sequences being her in a spaceship chasing him down, when in reality she's just chasing him from room to room. Another key example is in the episode Olivia Keeps a Secret, to where Olivia's mom, who is a party planner, gets assigned to help out with Olivia's best friend Francine's birthday party. party. Olivia is told the secret that that Olivia's mom is trying to book their favorite celebrity, the Kickity Kangaroo, to be in the party, and she's not supposed to tell Francine. Olivia shows difficulty keeping this secret. In addition, shows that while yes, Francine might be her best friend, and it's a very one-sided friendship in Olivia's case. Olivia seeing Francine as another girl just like her. Literally.
But I really need to figure out what would make this a special birthday party for Francine. Now, what does Francine like best?
Oh, the same things as me. Ballet, singing, soccer, pony rides.
Olivia.
Well, she likes some of the same things as me. Planning a party is hard, isn't it?
So yeah, she can't even name anything different about her. However, come a season later, a lot of things come to change. See, the second season of Olivia actually showcases a lot of different traits of Olivia. It actually shows that Olivia starts to grow as a person a lot more as she gets older. She starts to examine a lot less egocentric traits and starts to really branch out beyond that second proportional stage. But that's basically all you know about Olivia for now. Her egocentrism evolves throughout the show and becomes a lot less prevalent, even in a show like this to where continuity doesn't matter, and that's kind of its whole strength. And I do love the little details that Olivia doesn't stagnate in character, despite the show remaining a status quo throughout its run. That could become really grating after 73 11-minute segments, in addition to the 2 half-hour-long specials the show has, but due to Olivia's very slow but noticeable evolution of her traits, it definitely doesn't become grating, and the fantasy sequences are very varied, which is something I will be talking about in a much later video. But let's stop talking about Olivia and start talking about a different kind of egocentrism. This time with a little bother, Ian.
I am a dragon! I am taking this princess as my prisoner! Ian? What? Every princess needs a dragon. That's not a dragon. No dragons, Ian. I don't get it. If you don't want to be taken prisoner by a dragon, what's so great about being a princess?
Ian is 5 years old, much younger than the rest of the cast, and thus he examines a very different form of egocentrism. First off, him being 5 means that he is less far in the second proportional stage, but is still in it. This essentially means that Ian is in his own little world and doesn't even see individual emotions of people even some of the time. He doesn't even really see it at all. Aside from a few sparse instances during the second season. But otherwise, he's often just seeing the background, often in his own little world, maybe playing with his toys or going in his own little fantasies. A key episode for this is the episode Ian the Alien. As I mentioned earlier, Olivia sees Ian as an alien, and Ian kind of just plays along with the bit throughout the episode. During the beginning of the episode, the characters also go to a space museum, where Ian can often be seen just walking around the back while Olivia is talking about whatever thing, including a glow-in-the-dark planet set that she wanted to get, which her mom said she wasn't going to. Now, Ian, despite not even paying attention to this and having his own interests, actually kinda heard this. As later on in the episode, after locking his sister in the fucking closet for 2 seconds, I'm sorry, I just find this really humorous. He actually is able to design a glow-in-the-dark planet and a hang-up for Olivia's room, which, like I mentioned earlier, is something that she mentioned to want. So, despite not really paying attention, he still ends up caring for his sister. There's also a moment in a future episode that I will be taking notice of, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. Throughout the majority of the first season, however, Ian examines something known as Centration, basically just being in your own little world and not really acknowledging the other people around you. A key example of this is specifically can be found in the season 1 episode Olivia is invited to dinner, to where Ian is just slurping spaghetti, ignoring the fact that he's all messy, and ignoring the fact that Olivia is having a little bit of a neat-phobic crisis right next to him. Ian's just off in his own little world, slurping his own spaghetti, only getting involved later in the episode when a competition spurs between Olivia and Francine, to where Ian attempts to join in. This is the case to where Ian actually joins in on the conflict, but the majority of the time he stays in his own little world. Now, let's shift gears out of Olivia's family to her best friend that I mentioned earlier, Francine.
It's now time for number 5. The absolute most incredibly important part of a great camping trip.
Kayaking on a mountain lake, snuggling in a sleeping bag, sleeping under the stars.
Finding the absolute perfect stick for roasting marshmallows.
Wait, we don't need to do that. My mother sent me with some long silver forks.
Francine is someone who cares a lot about status, specifically examining a trait known as external validation, specifically from her best friend Olivia. External validation is a branch of the self-determination theory, which is essentially a trait that some kids go through. It makes them want to be better than everyone else and feel that they're better than everyone else, and that they must be that way. This is something that Francine exhibits in a lot of episodes, but the main two I want to focus on are the episodes Olivia is invited to dinner and Olivia goes camping. In Olivia is invited to dinner, in the opening scene, we see Olivia and Julian talking about their school lunches. And then Francine sits by them, either bragging about the fact that she's eating Brussels sprouts over what they're having, and the fact that she has a spork over their spoon, over Julian and Olivia's spoon and forks. Additionally, the concept of this episode is that Olivia is invited to dinner with Francine, so that way she can see how Francine ends up having dinner. And when we actually get there, we can kind of start to understand why Francine is like this. Her dinners are not very lively, and her parents are very stoic, and eventually chaos kind of ensues due to Olivia's influence, leading to the kids sitting at a kid table. Which is kind of humorous because her parents are just sitting there at a very large table. It's just the 3 of them. Why do they need a table this big? And then just a tiny little kiddie table, which it must get kind of lonely for Francine because she doesn't seem to have any siblings. Anyway, Francine does get guilty at the end of this, and she apologizes for making Olivia possibly jealous. But Olivia is a good friend, so she forgives him. And so, another example is in the episode Olivia Goes Camping, where Francine is initially not keen to Olivia's family's style of camping and being kind of noisy, being out in the wilderness and whatnot, kind of exhibiting her neatness tendencies, which we kind of saw during the previous episode we examined. But I'll even on full display here, because despite her being a pig, she does not like mud.
What do you need, Francine? What I really need is a shower.
Which is an interesting trait for a pig to have, admittedly enough. However, eventually in the episode, she does start to live a little. Specifically when she finds the perfect stick for s'mores, validated by Olivia. This immediately shows Francine's trait of wanting validation from her best friend, because the moment she ends up getting this validation, she becomes a lot more invested in the whole camping thing, and actually ends up having fun throughout the night. And there's also the end of the episode Olivia's secret, where Kitty the Kangaroo ends up having to cancel the party appearance, and Olivia making it up to Francine by posing as Kitty the Kangaroo for Francine, with the two engaging in a very gay and very cute hug at the end. And yes, I do ship these two. They have some very cute moments throughout the show, and we'll get to probably my favorite later in the video. However, let's stop talking about Francine and start talking about Olivia's other friends. When talking about Ian the alien, there was one character in that episode I haven't mentioned yet, and that character is this kid, Julian.
How am I doing? Great. Pretty good turning, excellent stopping, and awesome not falling down. That part's easy. Not for me. I'll show you how to skate and not fall down. I like not skating and not falling down. Are you sure? Oh, alright.
Julian is probably Olivia's secondary best friend. He's seen with her the second most, aside from Francine, and has a more logical side to him. That is because Julian exhibits something known as behavioral inhibitation. This is an idea that a child is a lot more logical and is afraid of trying something new. And without some kind of nudge in the direction of trying that new thing, they may never end up gaining the courage to try it. Julian is shown to examine this quite a lot throughout the series, like in the episode of Olivia's skate show, where Julian ends up Well, Julian ends up over at Olivia's house with their own ice rink. Yes, they intentionally made this. We'll get to this in the big video, trust me. Well, Julian ends up remarking that he doesn't really know how to skate, and he's also afraid to try. Olivia ends up coming up with a compromise of him being afraid to fall, her giving him a safety pouch, which really just weighs him down, ends up making it a lot more safe and makes the fall a lot less hurtful. There's also the episode Olivia the Olympian, to where her school is holding something called the Noggin Games. Basically, an Olympic Games named after Olivia's teacher, Mrs. Noggin. Julian ends up wanting to try the 100-meter dash, but he isn't exactly athletic, so he ends up chickening out. However, Olivia ends up helping to coach him. Not only does she end up training him in very heavy weather conditions, she also is able to heavily encourage him, and ends up being a very good coach. She ends up being the nudge needed to give Julian the confidence to compete in the games, and ends up winning the 100-meter dash in the end, even when it starts raining on the court. Julian wins the gold medal, all because Olivia gave him a little nudge. The little nudge is something very important. Julian doesn't get as many spotlight episodes, and doesn't get something specific during the second season to see his evolution. He isn't even featured in the episode I've been hinting at throughout the rest of this video with the other 3 characters. Well, yes, he isn't a main character in it. Now, Olivia's influence is something that helped Julian a lot. And Julian is not the only outlier in this case. Olivia's influence ends up helping another kid in her school.
Practicing by yourself, sweetie?
Harold's late.
Actually, he's outside.
Doing what?
It looks like he's talking to our flowers.
Where seldom is heard a discouraging word. Oh, hi, Olivia. Hello, Olivia's dad.
Hi.
Hi, Harold. Were you talking to our flowers?
Actually, I was singing to them. There's scientific proof that it promotes healthy plant growth. I also put tuna fish in my soil. Well, time to dance.
Harold is usually a background character, not getting much spotlight, and is generally treated as a comic relief, or just a fellow character throughout the rest of the school. But he does have one focus episode, the episode Hold Down Hero during the second season. In this episode, him and Olivia are paired up for a partner project where they have to perform a dance. However, Harold has no idea how to dance and is very uncoordinated.
Come on, partner. Let's dance. Bow to your partner. Here we go. Ow! Ouch! Don't bump her head. No, no, no. Turn to my left. Now turn to my right. Right. I said my right. And bow once more to be polite. Ooh! Ow! Sorry. Don't say sorry. Just keep dancing like a horse who's busy prancing. Kick your feet up off the ground. Now swing your partner round and round. Whoa. Harold, are you okay? Just a little dizzy. Maybe we should take a break.
While Olivia enjoys the experience, she does find heavy difficulty in trying to coach Harold in the same way she attempted to do Julian. But Harold exhibits a very interesting trait throughout the episode, having a fascination with plants. Him actually showing great concern for a plant's life during the episode, who ends up gardening and helping the plants in Olivia's backyard. Ignoring the fact this is literally the only time Olivia's garden is ever brought up in the show's run, Olivia notices how Harold is watering and taking care of the plants. Not only is he singing, he also has rhythm to his movements, like he's dancing. Olivia utilizes this to her advantage to help Harold actually get his dancing put together. She instead acts like Harold is gardening, which narrows his mind to a specific focus. Now he's not thinking about dancing and how bad he is at it, he's thinking about how good he is at gardening. With a different thing to zero in on, he's actually able to become a lot more coordinated with Olivia. And during the final performance, the two are able to dance together pretty well. But if Harold did have good dancing talent all along, you might wonder why he needed to zero in on something specific anyway. Well, here's the thing. Harold, for lack of a better term, seems to be neurodivergent coded, which basically means he exhibits some traits that come from that, but is never explicitly said to be such. Specifically, he exhibits something called asynchronous development, which means that certain parts of the brain develop faster than others in an uneven fashion. Like, for example, something like social skills could go faster than academic skills or vice versa. If you were paying attention to the clip I showed you guys earlier, you might have noticed that Hero didn't know his lefts and rights. Well, that is most definitely a sign that he might be neurodivergent. This could show that his intellectual skills developed faster than his motor skills. The whole plant thing could easily be a substitute, making him think of it more intellectually, causing him not to think about how uncoordinated he could be. So, it just gives his brain a new lens to work with that he is much more comfortable with, which is how he's able to avoid tripping and falling over. Now, let's finally talk about the elusive episodes I've mentioned throughout the video. The 22-minute special, Princess for a Day. This is what I would call the most ambitious episode in all of the series. And there was a lot to this episode, and a lot that there is to discuss about. We're not going to be talking about everything today. We'd be here for probably at least 30 minutes. To boil us down to the simples, there are 4 specific key things I am going to focus on for this little examination, making all the other topics meant for the bigger video about Olivia that I'm making hopefully sometime next year. So, let's hop into it. Princess for a Day, it introduces the character Princess Stephanie, who is the Princess of Postonia, which I think is the town that Olivia is from. We don't actually know exactly. It's just a name given to Stephanie's home. Given the fact that the show was made in the UK, in addition to a lot of the references it had to the British royal family, I wouldn't be surprised if the idea is that Postonia is some kind of interpretation of the United Kingdom. Regardless, Olivia and Stephanie meet by complete chance at an ice cream shop, and the two immediately notice the two look almost exactly alike each other, with the only main differences being the fact that Stephanie has freckles and Olivia has slightly bigger ears. Olivia has previously been shown to be infatuated by the idea of princesses and was really interested in meeting Stephanie just earlier when her family first got to town, but the fact that they actually got to talk with each other is very notable. Olivia asks Stephanie about being a princess, and Stephanie isn't really too keen about it, literally saying, I guess it's fine, which means she doesn't really think of it as that special. She actually sees Olivia's ability to just be a normal kid as something to be infatuated about. So these two are in opposite hierarchies who have a euphoria for each other's lifestyle and vice versa. Due to this one fact that the two notice, Olivia suggests the two switch places for the day. And throughout the episode, we see the two very different characters living each other's lives. And I think this is the first point I'd like to take notice of. And technically speaking, harbors the first 2 points I was talking about earlier. Specifically how these two are very different characters with 2 very different archetypes, to where they overlook certain things that the other might take, that they take certain things for granted over what the other may think. And there's some pretty fascinating examples throughout this episode. The main one I'm going to take notice of here, however, is the scene with the two going to bed. Now, when Olivia's parents put Princess Stephanie into bed, posing as Olivia, she asked this.
Oh, goody! Have you brought me my milkshake?
Goody? Wait, what milkshake?
The yummy chocolate one I always have before going to bed.
You give her milkshakes before bed?
In her dreams? Olivia, go to bed.
And no milkshakes.
Now this might sound random without context, but a keen-eyed viewer might notice that in the very next scene when Stephanie's parents put Olivia to bed posing as Stephanie, they actually give Olivia the milkshake. It's a background element that's never mentioned, and Olivia pays no mind to it, but they actually do give her the milkshake. Stephanie was expecting it because she's spoiled. Olivia is not, and her parents have standards. They're not gonna give their almost 7-year-old child sugar before bed because they want her to go to bed, despite the fact that both of them go to break into song right after they're put to bed.
But now I miss the room I call my own, and so it's time. I want to go home.
This song makes me cry inside every single time I listen to it, and it is tragic that I have to wait so long just to talk about this. Because honestly, there was so many little things to this song, from the individual lyrics to some of the visuals to even continuity errors. But I'm gonna keep myself to the topic of this video. This song is only really significant in one instance, just how the two girls are being sad about two completely different things, but are unified based off the fact that both of them missed their old lives, and their old lives being the opposite of what the other had enjoyed. Otherwise, this song isn't exactly that important, but honestly, listen to it. If there's anything you're gonna do as a result of this video, listen to the song, and as a bonus, watch Princess for a Day. But we aren't exactly done talking about it.
Where I have my bed, home with my mom and dad, any home with my family is palace enough for me.
Now, with the characters switching, you might wonder if some of the other characters notice that Olivia and Stephanie are acting a little off in their own places. Well, technically someone notices, but it depends on how you look at it. Now, let's diverge back to Ian. Ian, throughout this episode, has a little arc where he starts to notice that Olivia is a little different. But in the actual writing, it's not exactly handled very well, at least for me personally. It's just him pointing out that he feels like he's seen Princess Stephanie before, which is him acknowledging that she looks similar to Olivia. However, the payoff doesn't come until much later, after it is already revealed to both parents that Olivia and Stephanie had switched places, which means that Ian needed the dots to be placed in for him. Now, you could attribute this to him just being not as developed as Olivia, as we previously mentioned, but I personally feel like writing-wise, it would have worked better if Ian noticed right beforehand. Regardless, this shows an evolution of his centration, him actually noticing that his sister is exhibiting different traits and is different entirely, and noticing that someone else can look like his sister, although not exactly putting it all together. There's many ways to look at this whole writing choice with Ian, but it still shows him maturing past the point where he began the series. Then finally we have this final moment, though it technically takes place right before the previous one, of Olivia and Francine. Okay, so Francine has a very minor role in this episode, so do a lot of Olivia's friends. But Francine is featured just enough to where she can be considered to have as much of a role as Ian does. So at the beginning of the episode, Olivia and Francine are shown doing a little ritual called the Princess Pledge, which is basically just something to prove that they enjoy being a princess. Basically, certification. So, Olivia recites it to try to prove that she is Olivia and not Princess Stephanie. And Francine immediately recognizes it, giving Olivia even more gay of a hug than Olivia's secret. But for Francine, this is making her seem just a little less selfish, as we had examined earlier, with her recognizing that Olivia has individual traits that she values and that Olivia is her own person. This could be an extension of the validation thing, but at least to me, it seems to be more of an evolution of it. Her realizing the unique traits of her best friend.
A princess promises to be pretty, peppy, smell nice, sparkle a lot, sing happy songs very loudly, and never, ever be mean. Olivia! It really is you!
And that's about all I need to go on about when it comes down to Princess for a Day. There's a lot of other elements in this episode that I'd love to examine.
Toodaloo! Bye, Olivia!
Oh, I will get to you someday, Daisy. But with that, that's about it when it comes down to the topics with Princess for a Day that are actually related to this video's topic. And to avoid rambling for a while, as I previously said, we're gonna call it here in terms of talking about it, and this video's topic in general. But I appreciate everyone who took this ride with me, because I do think it was a fun one, even if this video was stuck in development hell for quite a while. I will admit that I did intend to get this video out last year, but just because life things got in the way, and because this video stayed in development for so long, I just became way more ambitious with it. So, you could argue it was kind of more my fault than anything else. But either way, that's about it. I'm going to take this last section to talk about a few things coming up for the channel. First off, there is the Olivia Mega video, which I'm aiming to see if I can give you guys some updates over the course of the year for. Maybe once per month I talk about the production and stuff in a community post or something along those lines. Because just like the Jack's Music Show video in its early days, it definitely will be slow going because it's a long video that I have to do a lot of research for and do a lot of recording for. You know the works, really. I don't intend to take as long as I did with the Jack's Music Show video. In fact, I would love to see if I can get something like a preview out or something along those lines for the end of this year. And hopefully it could be an early 2027 project at the absolute latest. We're just gonna have to see how production of video goes over the course of the year. And I'll keep you guys updated on it. In terms of other stuff that's coming up for this channel, I do have a couple other analysis videos I do plan to do, such as a medium-sized video about the backyardigans that I'll be vague about for the time being, once for reasons that become more obvious later on. And I also have another Xenoblade analysis video in the works too, ranking all the main parties from the 7 games. Another big project that's coming up is a director's cut of the Jack's Music Show mega video. Yeah, see, recently I released 2 bonus videos for the video, and well, I don't think the big video is perfect in any way. So, I'd like to improve it a little bit. So, I'm gonna release a better cut version of the video with some better editing, as well as disputing and appealing it so it can actually show the footage without having to censor it. As I learned with my most recent video with the beta compilation, I can just appeal these videos and they should be able to go through just fine. So that's what we're going to be doing with that video, and hopefully it goes out well. The plan for the moment is to have that video go up on the 1-year anniversary of the original video. Kind of just to commemorate the fact that that thing is turning a year old. But I still heavily recommend you guys check it out if you haven't already, in addition to the bonus videos of the medley compilation and the recently released beta compilation. All of them are worth your time and a total of 10 hours worth of content. That'll hold you over for a while now, wouldn't it? At least I think so. I also appreciate all the people who have checked out those videos as well. The Jack's Music Show mega video is almost up to 20k as of recording, and the medley compilation just recently hit 5k. I would love to see these hit even higher highs, even if I already appreciate the amount of spotlight these videos have gotten. I still don't see them in Quentin Review's Long Boys playlist, but I'm sure there's only a certain amount of people who could actually add it to that playlist. But if someone could get it up to Quentin's attention and get it in there, God, I would feel accomplished. Either way though, that's about it for this video, and I've rambled for a little bit long, so I'm gonna call it here. Thank you for coming on this ride with me, and I will see you guys in the next video.